bookish goodness. Today we are doing an exciting authors panel with a group of amazing young ladies, all from the Shattered Worlds Anthology. And we're here to talk a little bit about what the inspiration was behind the book. And whoops, sorry, I forgot to mute YouTube. All right, and so before we get started with all the fun questions, I am going to go ahead and let the ladies introduce themselves to you, and we will start with Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. Amy Henley. I write under the pen name A.G. Henley, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much, Heidi, for sponsoring us and helping us put this together. Amy Henley. I write under. I'm hearing myself. Okay, maybe not now. So the book that I have in the Shattered Worlds box set, which is a collection of 23 stories. I'm really excited to be here. That are YA and in speculative fiction.
Real quick, you have your YouTube. If you go into you have the YouTube up so you can see the chat, right? If you go over there and click on the mute button,
yeah,
you're getting the feedback. Yeah, that's that little delay.
Okay, I was muting it on Google Hangouts. I think that was where I messed up. Okay, yeah, it's muted now. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So the book that I have in the Shattered Worlds set is called The Scourge. Let's see if I can, is it showing? I can't tell. Can you see it? Okay, there it is, yeah. And it's the first in my Brilliant Darkness series, which is a series of dystopian romance books. There's 3 novels and 2 ebook-only short stories. It's a completed series, and I'd say one of the cool things about my series is the main character is visually impaired or blind, and so the whole series is told without any visual descriptions or cues, so that's an interesting thing about it. But glad to be here and excited to talk about Shattered Worlds with everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Amy. And up next, we have Cindy.
Okay. I was muting it on Google Hangouts. I think that was where I messed up.
Is all that feedback over yet?
Okay.
It's like on repeat.
So the book that I have.
Yeah, so you need to go over to YouTube and mute on YouTube as well, because that's where you're getting that feedback loop from.
Can you see it? Okay, there it is.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And it's the first.
I didn't even know I had it up.
Series, which is a series of dystopian romance.
It must be on my other
3 novels and 2 ebook-only short stories. It's a completed series, and I'd say one of the cool things about my series is the main character.
How are we now?
There we go.
Do we have peace?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, so I'm Cindy M. Hogan, and my book in this awesome box set is Wingless. And it's actually my first little jump into urban fantasy, and I'm so excited because normally all of my other 20 books are all suspense, action, adventure, young adult books. Of course, you have your dash of romance because you absolutely have to have that. But my first book is Watched, and whenever I'm going to ask to be talked, I'll pop this up because I don't actually have a copy of Wingless. It's only available in the Shattered Worlds box set. So I'm so excited for you guys to be able to see that. So that's who I am.
Awesome. Thank you, Cindy. And up next, we have Courtney.
Okay, I had to unmute it. Hey, everybody. I'm Courtney Pearson. I write young adult fantasy and romance. And actually now so the book that I have in the box set, I'll just hold up the postcard. I had to pop over and grab it. I don't know if you can see that. Is that hard to see? Maybe? Anyway, it's called The Perilous In-Between, and it's about a girl she's a pilot, and it's her job to protect her town from a mechanical sea monster. And so she's got to kind of figure out the secrets of her town. And that's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Courtney. And next we have Julie.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted. Hi guys, my name is Julie Hall. I write young adult, like fantasy, urban fantasy. I don't know. I never really know what category to shove it into. The book that I have in the Shattered Worlds box set is a novella, but it is all new content. And it is part of my Life After series. So these are my first two books. Huntress came out, and then Warfare came out afterwards. And the novella is called Logan. And my Life After series is told from the POV of my protagonist, whose name is Audrey. And the novella that's in Shattered Worlds is told from the male lead, Logan. And it's kind of like Life After 2.5, but I wrote it so that it could be a standalone too for the people who haven't read Life After. It's a little bit of a prequel. And so I was going to put Huntress in, which is, something that's already released, but I got a lot of great feedback from people who've been reading the books and who wanted to know all about Logan. And so I went ahead and wrote kind of his story so that you get the background story. And so that was, a testament to how much people's opinions really do matter to authors, especially indie authors, because we can go and do that type of stuff when we want to. And I'm super excited to just have new content in Shattered Worlds and to be able to kind of either introduce you to the world through the Book of Logan, or if you've read both of the Huntress and Warfare already, you get a nice little background to one of the characters that a lot of people like before the third book in the series is coming out, which is Dominion, which will come out later on in the year. So anyway, that's me.
Awesome, Julie. That is so cool. And then last but not least, we have Rebecca.
Okay, I'm not muted, right? Okay, I used my little thing on the headset. I do have a copy of mine, and it's kind of funny because people are like, Richard's story, what kind of a title is that? This is actually a novella that is a prequel to an entire series. So even though I wrote it last, it's the first book in the whole series. I thought I was clever, and it wasn't really that clever, but with each novel in my Dystopian series, I wrote a little novella that kind of went with it that kind of matched. So you can tell which one goes with which. That's book 1. And then this is book 2, and then the novella that goes with it. And then this one goes with book 3. But I was really careful writing it because I wanted you guys to be able to read it, even if you've never read any of the other ones. So I made it into a prequel. So it's kind of what happened to our current America before everything fell. It's like the apocalypse dystopian version. And then like 80 years in the future, that's where book 1 picks up. So completely new characters, very familiar world. It's just my version of what really happened before it started. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. It's pretty fun. That's me.
Awesome. And we have A.L. Mabry over in the YouTube chat said, ooh, side quests. So that's really cool. All right. So for those who are watching, just so you know, there is a sidebar chat, and you're welcome to pop in questions that you have in that sidebar chat, and I will feed those over to the ladies as well. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Well, I guess let's start with, how did you guys all meet? And you can answer in whatever order you want.
Well, Rebecca and I have met, but I haven't actually met these other awesome ladies. We kind of all came together in order to create this box set. I'm really feel super fortunate because I know 5 or 6 personally of the authors, and we regularly see each other, which is strange, but it's true. And it's awesome. And I can tell you that they write awesome books. And so I'm so excited to get this book into your hands so that you can read all of these. And I'm excited to read what everybody else has written also.
Okay, so where did you guys meet to start putting this together? Like, I know I'm a part of a bunch of groups on Goodreads where they have like night authors. I'm also a part of Our Right Side, where they do anthologies periodically. Was there a group like that that got you started, or was this something that, you know, 2 or 3 of you came up with and then you all found other authors to join in on it?
That's what I'm supposed to do, right? When I want to talk. I think I'm assuming we all met in the genre crave vicinity. We had to be placed together by genre, and we had to show that we had quality products and quality covers and things like that before we could be accepted, because we wanted to make sure that it was a really high quality set. We didn't want anyone who didn't really know what they were doing. We really needed people who knew how to market and were serious about it and knew how to write. And I think we got together a really amazing group. Like Cindy was saying, I know quite a few of the other authors too, and they really are high caliber. I think readers are going to be really pleased with this set.
Well, I have certainly loved the little glimpses that I've gotten. I've had a couple of you guys over on the Angel's Life blog to do interviews and to share samples, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So I've been super impressed so far, which is why I wanted to do this awesome panel. All right, so several of you kind of gave an idea of the inspiration behind it, but I don't know that we got that from Amy or from Courtney. Can you guys share with us what was the inspiration behind your specific story that you wrote?
I feel like I'm at an auction. Yeah, I'm going to raise my bid. So my inspiration for mine was reading a lot of YA. Like a lot of people, I read the Twilight series, the Hunger Games series, the Divergent series, and as I was reading those, everything sort of started to meld together for my series ideas. But the one I think that really sparked me writing The Scourge was reading a YA zombie dystopian story, which I am blanking on the name of right now, unfortunately. If it comes to me, I'll say it. But after reading that story, it kind of, mine does feature zombie-like creatures. And then I had kind of the thought of making the protagonist, like I said, a blind teen. And the challenge of that, I also wrote it in first person, which was another challenge. This wasn't my first book. Like most authors, I have a practice book that will probably never see the light of day. But this was, so this was really my second book that I wrote, and the first one that I published. But the kind of combination of a girl who can't see, who has to face these zombie creatures on her own and alone, without the benefit of being able to see where they are around her, to me was a fun challenge. And like I said, if I can think of the book, I'll raise my book and shout it out. If I can think of what the exact book was that was the inspiration for me writing The Scourge.
Awesome. And then Courtney?
All right, so my inspiration for, I know it's hard to see. Is that better? Perilous in Between. Okay, so again, like Amy said, it's not my first book. I actually wrote it when I was pregnant with my now 4-year-old. So I've had it on my computer for years and years. But my husband went to visit my in-laws in Texas, and we got to tour the Lockheed Martin aircraft facility there. I can't remember the exact title. But they were building F-16s, and it was so cool to see the different parts of the airplanes. And I don't know if you guys ever get this feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to write a story about that. So I totally knew that I wanted to write a book about a pilot, and I had no idea what it was going to be about. And I really love Regency kind of stuff. I love just the whole, the dresses and the balls and the way that society ran, sort of. But I always have to add a fantasy element to my stories, and that's how it ended up being steampunk, I think. So she was a pilot, and I knew that before I knew who my character was in the first place. But it's really fun to write. I've really enjoyed it. I think I hate it more than my others, but it was I can't ever plot as I go. I kind of make it up as I write. And so it was really fun to discover the story as I went. So that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we mentioned earlier that a lot of these aren't your first stories. What inspired your first story? And let's start with Rebecca.
Okay, that's a loaded question. What inspired my first story? It was going to get a loan at the bank, which is really random, but I was given a copy of my credit report, and we were buying a truck for my husband, which for some reason he was in a truck fetish. And I was looking at that number and I was like, there is a lot loaded on that one number about me. Like, they think they know so much about me because of a number. What if this encompassed more than just like my credit score? What if it was like how good looking I am, or how smart I am, or, you know, intelligence and people skills? And after that, I was like, you know, what if we were all rated by a single number that encompassed everything about us, and where we lived was according to that number, and who we could marry was according to that number? And what if somebody started messing with the numbers? And that's when the first book was born, Numbers Game. That's why it's called Numbers Game, because that's what happens to this girl, and the world just kind of exploded in my mind, and I could not stop writing. It just was so interesting to me, the possibilities that that brought. So.
Very awesome. And then up next, let's hear from Julie.
All right, I hate this question. Every time I'm on a chat, people always ask me what my inspiration is, and I'm like, I don't know. I was at a Chipotle when I thought of the story. It's super deep. Like, literally, I have no good answer for that. That was a great answer, Rebecca, even though I didn't know where you were going when you first started talking about getting a loan and then a YA stuff. I was like, that's weird. But I think just, you know, I pull a lot of inspiration that's actually like in like Christian scripture, because there's a lot of supernatural stuff in there. And so my book is not a theological book like at all. So like I've created an afterlife in it that is like completely not biblical. So do not read my book and then think that I'm trying to like teach you about the Bible, because I'm not. But there's a bunch of stuff in there that I can use that is just like in the spiritual realm and warfare and angels and demons and stuff like that. And so that's kind of what you get with my story, is that it's a girl who wakes up in the afterlife and then gets assigned the job of hunting demons for the rest of eternity, and kind of feels like it is not what her job should be, and she's really bad at it at first, and she's got to adapt or whatever. And there's just like a ton of stuff that I kind of pulled, you know, from scriptural stuff that could fit into it, because it's just sitting there. And, you know, so she gets a sword that has special abilities, and like I pulled that from there, and you know, the inspiration of what the angels looked like, and then I threw in some completely random stuff too, because they're fantasy, it's fiction, it's not reality. And so I mean, like, and I started my first book like a really long time ago too, and so to like think back on what I was thinking way back then, I have no idea. Yeah, it's bad. Because I started the book and then I got sick and put it down and then picked it back up and then tried to get it published, and then it's a long story. Nobody cares. So yeah, that was my long-winded like non-answer to that. Thanks for that. I appreciate that really hard question.
I thought you did a great job with the question. Sometimes the story just comes from the ether. That's totally acceptable. All right, and then Courtney, do you have another book that you wrote, or that you can give us the background, or is this your first venture into publishing?
Okay, so the first book I wrote is called Phobic, and it's a young adult paranormal romance. It actually does have some horror elements in it. And my inspiration from this comes from a couple of different sources. When I was a kid, we would go visit my great aunt. She lived down in Utah, and she lived in the house that was built by her father. So it was a crazy old house. And the basement, I have to tell you, was like the creepy place that I have ever been in. And I always had to go down there to get stuff for my mom and my great aunt. And I hated that basement. It was so creepy. And she had things in there like an old coal chute and some old roller skates, the kind that you would tie to your shoes, you know. So it was filled with antiques. It was the coolest house now that I look back on it, but I always thought it was being really creepy. And so that plays a huge part in the story, because my main character actually lives in a haunted house, and she knows that it's haunted, but there are doors that she's been forbidden from opening her whole life. And she's finally tired of living with secrets. She's tired of not knowing what's going on, what to do. And she opens the door and starts to see the original residents of her house from back in 1865. So anyway, then she has to piece together the clues from the flashbacks that she sees to figure out what's going on with her house in the present. And the other inspiration from it, I was in this blog contest. It was a Halloween blog contest, and an agent was offering I don't even remember, I don't remember. It was to get interest from an agent. And so I just came up with this story where this girl's like standing by a window, and she gets picked on by this bully, and he axes the house, and it goes into her instead. And anyway, like I said, it's got some horror elements in it. So it's kind of those two that started me writing this story.
Awesome. And then one of our viewers wants to know, are you still creeped out by the basement?
Not so much anymore, but they've sold that house. So I drive past it and wave. I haven't been there in years, but it was freaky. It was a freaky house. So, but it was cool at the same time. You know, I'm kind of intrigued by a little bit of the creepy side of things. So that's another reason I wrote this series. I'm kind of a wuss. I really am. Like, I'm a total wuss, but I like a little bit creepy. And so I wanted something for readers like me who can't handle the hardcore, like, scary without, you know, I like to be able to go to the bathroom by myself. You know what I mean? But I wanted something that I could read at Halloween and still go to bed at night, you know? And so that's another reason I wrote Phobic. And actually, while we're talking about it, I just second book in the series, and I don't have one with me, but it's called Intrinsic, and it's a companion novel to Phobic. So it's a different character, but the story's kind of the same, except that one's a haunted bookstore. So.
Oh, cool. Haunted bookstores are awesome.
Yes.
All right, cool. And then now, Cindy, tell us about your first book and what inspired it.
Awesome. Oh, my word. So I was a teacher, and I loved teaching. It was like what I wanted to do, and I thought I was really good at it. I just always told myself, you know, whatever I did, I wanted to be the best at it. And then one day I had this dream. It's the total cliche. I had this dream, and it was so awesome. Like, it was clear, like I was watching this movie, and it was this scene with this girl in this awesome country club, and suddenly the country club is under attack. And I could not stop thinking about this girl. And I'd be in my classes, and I was like, oh, that's that other person in that dream I had, as I'm looking at my students. And it was all I could think about. And I thought, oh, man, this should be a movie. I have an idea for a movie. I am going to give this idea to some screenwriter. And so I started running around asking people, hey, you know, how do I get this to be a movie? Everybody's like, I have no idea. And so moved to California, maybe. And I thought, I better write this down. Because one day, it was kind of like one of those moments in your life where the earth shifts. And you know that something important has happened, but you don't know what the outcome might be. And it was one of those moments. And I knew it was important and that I should really pay attention, but I didn't really know why. So I started to write down what I had seen, and I just couldn't stop. And I kept telling myself, what are you doing? You are not a writer. You are a teacher, and not just like an English teacher or anything. You're a German teacher. What are you doing thinking you can write a book? And I actually entered, like, I don't know, it was crazy. I called my sister and I said, hey, I wrote these 3 chapters and I think it's a book, but I don't know what I'm doing. And she wrote me back right after I sent it to her. She said, this is really good. You should come to this writer's conference with me. And I thought, what are you doing going to a writer's conference? And she's like, I've written a couple books. What? And she's a closet writer. We'll probably, the book she's written will probably never see the light of day. But she got me to that writer's conference, and I happened to sit down. I don't even know how it happened now, but somehow I sat down with the senior editor of Putnam Books, and he said, wow, I really love this. Get me the full thing, and we'll publish you. And I thought, oh, okay. I was so new to publishing that I had no clue what a big deal that was. That outside the room I was in, there were 700 other people who had sent out queries after query, hundreds of queries, and never heard back from anybody. And so I finished the conference, and that's when I realized I didn't know what in the world I was doing. And so I stopped writing because I thought, I don't know what a hook is. I don't know how to start a story. I don't know how to end a story. I don't really even know what a main character should be like. And luckily, I had some people who were at that conference that picked me up and got me to finish that story. But the crazy thing is, after sitting down with him, because he actually said to me, start the story here instead of where you started it. And so I took his advice, and that scene that I dreamed ended up being in the second book, almost at the very end. And so it's interesting, but it's about a girl who has a photographic memory, and she's just never really fit in. And one day she realizes she's never really fit in. And so she decides, you know what, I'm going to go on this school trip and change my life. Because you know how teenagers are. That's how they think. And so she goes on this trip, and then she witnesses a murder, and that's it. It's the beginning of the rest of her life. So it's really exciting and fun. But that's the crazy roundabout story of Watched.
That is awesome. All right, and then Amy, tell us about your first book.
Okay, first of all, I quickly Googled the book I couldn't remember that inspired The Scourge that's going to be in the Shattered Worlds box set. It was Carrie Ryan's Forest of Hands and Teeth. Has anyone read that one? So that was the book that I read years ago that kind of inspired me to write The Scourge. But my very first book was a time travel romance. And I actually wrote a short story that went in an anthology. It was published in 2016 with an author collective that I'm part of called Wicked Ink Books. So I used the premise of it, kind of changed it a little bit, and ended up publishing a short story in that anthology based on that initial book. So I doubt I'll ever publish that, but I could see maybe trying to do a series based on the short story I wrote last year. But that one was about a girl who's a history buff. She's a senior in high school going into college at the University of Virginia. But it's the summer, I think, or her senior year. And she meets a man who is a thief. He steals bits of history, so artifacts of history, brings them forward to the future and sells them on the black market or for private collectors of pieces of history. And so that's the short story that was inspired from my first book that I'll probably always hide and not share with people. But I like the way I reworked it. And like I said, I could see maybe writing more based on the characters that I started in that short story.
Awesome. Okay, so we did have a panel question. I'm sorry, we had a question from the chat. They wanted to know, what's your favorite snacks or drinks while you write? So I will let you guys answer it as you. Okay, Julie's really excited to answer this one. So we'll let Julie start.
This is like the only question that I like answer every time, and I love it. It's because I'm obsessed with Red Bull. I know you can see Heidi laughing at me right now, but it's super true. And I like always, my like secret hope in the world is that like someday a Red Bull rep will like see one of these chats that I do, and the fact that I like promote them so much, and that they'll endorse an author. I'll like jump out of an airplane. I don't care. Like, just tell me what to do. Like, I like to snowboard. That counts, right? And then I could get like a life supply of Red Bull instead of spending like, you know, $2 every day, because it is the nectar of the gods. And I don't write a single bit of my book without it. In fact, look at, I have my can right here from today. And I have to limit myself to 1 a day, because if I have too many, I'm even more hyper than this. And I don't sleep. But yeah, it's become like an addiction, and I talk about it all the time. So that's my favorite snack. So this is like my question right here. What's your favorite snack? Red Bull. I'm an unofficial sponsor. Someday I hope to sponsor Red Bull. They need to sponsor young adult authors, because we write about cool things that Red Bull people might be doing. So mic drop. That's it. I'm out. I'm weird. I'm sorry. It happens.
There is nothing wrong with having a passion.
I'll go on a tangent about that too. Good thing my PA isn't around right now.
All right. Anybody else want to share with us their favorite snacks or drinks while they're writing?
No, I was like super excited about that question.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So for me, it's like the opposite of Red Bull. I'm too hyper all the time anyway. But if I drank Red Bull, it would not be a good thing. But this is my ice cup. It's ice. I chew ice, so I'm always down at the Maverick. I have like 5 of these cups sitting around. There's always one in the car. And so I like make my runs to Maverick, not for the Coke or the Pepsi or the orange soda or whatever, or the Red Bull, but for ice. And then I just chew it the whole time that I'm doing it. But I have to say, chocolate is probably my next favorite. But you can't eat chocolate after you've been eating ice. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried it. If you haven't, you should, because it like doesn't melt in your mouth. There's no enjoyment there. So there has to be like a 10-minute pause before you actually eat the chocolate. And maybe that's like helping me. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a good thing. But ice. That's
okay.
My treat.
What is a Maverick?
Oh, Maverick is like, let me see, 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Like a gas station, huge gas station treats and drinks shop.
What part of the country are you living in? I've never heard of that either.
Yeah, I live in Utah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a West Coast. I'm in Utah too. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
right outside of Salt Lake City.
Me too. I'm a little bit up north. Are you south?
I am, yeah, outside of Draper.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well, we know a bunch of other authors that are there. It's like the mecca of authors around here.
I know. It's so hard to promote here because of that.
Yeah.
Notice.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else want to share their favorite treats?
I'll be really fast. I can't do this anymore because I'm on a special diet, but my very favorite editing snack is Mike and Ike's. The little candies. They're so addicting. My poor husband, I think over Christmas time, I was editing book 3 of this series, and he bought me 5 boxes of Mike and Ike's, and I will not tell you how long it took me to get through those. But those are like the only way that editing is at all bearable, so you just need to feed the beast sometimes. So that's my little addiction. But this last book I had to do carrots and hummus because I was on a diet, and what fun is that? So Mike and Ike's, try it sometime. It works.
Yeah, I found that if you reward yourself with something like a jelly bean, I do jelly bellies for editing, so I totally relate. But you're more likely to catch errors if every time you catch an error, you can have a jelly belly.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how
mine is hot tamales. So same family.
Anybody else want to share?
I do. I like just plain chocolate chips. And it has to be the milk chocolate. It can't be semi-sweet because they're just richer. And I don't know. Was it Cindy who said yay chocolate? Because I'm yay chocolate.
All right, awesome. And then we have another question from the panel. Go Indie Now asks, what can you tell us one thing about one of the other authors in the anthology, their writing style or their story that you love and that will endear them to us? Because just so everybody knows, there are actually 23 authors in this anthology. Obviously, we couldn't get all of them on the panel today. That would just be craziness. But so if any of you have read any of the other authors, tell us something about their style and why they would be awesome to read.
I'll go. I know a few of them. I love Cindy's stuff. Her stuff is very suspenseful, and I've read almost all of her books. I also like Jane Red's stuff. She's a friend of mine, and her books are a little slower, but more kind of haunting and more emotionally deep, which sometimes you need that too. I also really like Elena Johnson's stuff. She's kind of like a good blend of both, like deep emotion and yet really riveting story. So I recommend all three of those. I think they're all really good in their own way, and I just love the YA voice from all of them. I think it's really refreshing and right on with what I like to read. So 3, sorry, instead of 1.
Yeah, 3 is awesome. All right, does anybody else have some that they want to share and tout?
Okay, so I hope this doesn't sound awful, but I'm not sure I've read anybody's books, but I'm going to say, because I was putting together blog posts and I got to read a lot of teasers, and Liz Long's, I'm trying to remember what her book is called. I am not remembering it right now, but I can look it up. Her teaser was a kissing scene, and I have to say, I was like swooning afterwards. That girl knows how to write a kissing scene. And so you can go, I've posted on my blog somewhere, I can share that link, but I'll look it up and see what her book is called, but that one is amazing.
Go for it, Julie.
All right, it takes me a second to always like unmute the thing here. Well, first of all, it's a box set, not an anthology. I just wanted to throw that out there. So their stories aren't actually linked together. They're all independent stories, and we fall under the umbrella of like YA, fantasy, dystopian, fiction. And you guys are welcome to throw out your genres if I I didn't get that on there. But anyway, speculative fiction. But I haven't read any of the stories that are in the box set yet because we haven't shared them with each other. But I have read some like teasers from Audrey Gray. She's written a fairy tale retelling. It's called Cursebreaker. First of all, the cover is awesome. I think that you guys have all seen it because she was showing us some of the proofs beforehand, and it's super cool. But I was reading some of her teasers, and they look really good. And she's got a really good chemistry between her main characters, and it is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But in like a completely different way. So anyway, I'm like super excited to read that one because I've just gotten a couple teasers of it, and it's a completely new book too that she put in there, so no one else has seen it and can't get it anywhere else besides Shattered Worlds. And anyway, so I'm excited about that. But I do hate like calling out. Rebecca like did 3, way to go, because I hate like when don't ask me. By the way, Heidi, I'm just gonna throw this out here: who my favorite author is or who I want to co-write with, because that's right up there with like what inspires my story. I'm always like, so don't do that. But anyway, all the authors, I'm just looking at Rebecca laughing at me right now. All the authors seem really great, and they've been really fun to get to know. And I've read some of them before, and I haven't read some of them, but now I have like a really long, read list because now I want to read everybody's books, and there's a lot of us in there, so that's a lot of books to get through. So anyway, that's my long answer.
Okay, and I'm just hopping here. Sorry, the name of Liz Long's book is A Reaper Maid, so it's going to be amazing. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cindy.
So the only other author that I have read before is Nicole Giles, and she writes sort of, she's more emotional too, like on the side of Jane Read, more gritty, really good, deep books that everybody loves. In fact, I was at Comic-Con, and a girl that was in the booth with us, she actually said, when she held up Nicole Giles' last book, she said, "That is the best book I have ever read." So that is an endorsement from another author that I thought was really telling in her writing. So there you go, Nicole Giles, and I'm trying to think what her book is. I'm not sure that she included in this anthology, but is it Water So Deep?
Water So Deep is book 1, and then this is the novella in that series, and then she has book 2 out on pre-order. I think it's even 99 cents. You guys should go check it out. But book 1 was amazing, and I'm not joking. It was probably one of my top 5 last year. I loved it.
Woohoo!
So that's number 4.
Did anybody else want to jump in on that question real quick, or is that everybody's got theirs?
I have not read any of the authors in this set, but what I love is reading everybody's description of what their story is about, because they're all really different, really a great variety of, I mean, it's all young adult, but the variety of the different subgenres that they're all in and the descriptions of them, they sound amazing. I think readers will love having so many to choose from. Hopefully they'll read us all, but if you can't get around to all 23, I think you'll find something to love in the collection.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to contribute to that. I've had several of the authors over on An Angel's Life, and I love Katie. Katie Hay. She was sharing The Clockwork War, and she sent over some samples of some other stories that she's working on. And I've only recently been introduced to steampunk as books, but I am absolutely loving it as a genre, and I'm absolutely in love with her character, Clara Lissing from The Clockwork Wars. So I'm looking forward to seeing where she goes with that storyline. It's really cool. All right, so we have another question from the audience. They wanted to know, what made you decide to join a project like this? And we're going to pick on Rebecca first.
Okay, what made me decide to? I feel like I can market all day long, but I'm still reaching the same little group all the time. And I felt like coordinating with a bunch of other authors was a really good way to expand my reach. And I thought that of all my books, this one was probably the closest one to a standalone. So I thought this might actually bring people into the series, and if they like it, they can move on to read other stuff. I also thought it might be fun, and I was right, because it has been a blast. It's been really fun to get to know everybody and to read everyone's stuff. And I think it's really exciting. It's almost like we're throwing out free candy in a parade or something. Like, it's just a way to share our love with books and fiction and literature with people who equally love it. And I'm going to tell you, I'll probably read all the books because I'm an author, but I'm also a reader. I think this is like Christmas for me. So that's it for me.
Awesome. And Julie, I know you're not super thrilled about a question like that because it requires thinking through, but give us your best go.
I think maybe you just called me stupid. I'm not sure, but
no, I think you're an intuitive person and you do things intuitively. You don't do a whole lot of thought planning process behind it. It's just, ooh, this is fun. Let's do this. And I think that's awesome because I'm totally the same way. So
yeah,
no
I do that in like real life and when I'm talking to people and I'm like, shoot, I really need to get that filter. But the funny thing is when I write, I'm like a complete plotter. Like I'm really really careful about what I put into my books and what, you know, what the plots are and how things tie together. And there are some stuff in the first book that will tie, you know, that won't really get talked about till the third, but I did, you know, left those little things in there. And so, yeah, like when I do this stuff, I'm like, oh, hey, hi, I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm saying. But when I write, I'm like really, I'm not methodical about it, but like I really do plot it out. And, you know, I think that I've met more pantsers than plotters. And so I'm like, yeah, if I do the pantsing thing, I'd be writing for like forever. And then there'd be chunks of books like on the ground because I'd write too much. But anyway, okay, to answer the actual question, the reason, and I can answer this one actually, is a couple things. Rebecca really made some good points that I completely agree with that stuff too. And so it's probably going to be a little bit of a repeat of what she said. But I think one of the big draws for me was that I wanted to meet some more authors. My first book was actually traditionally published, Huntress, and then I got the rights back. So it had been published for like 1.5 years, and then I got the rights back and Indie published it. But I never did a great job of like connecting with other authors, and I just think that that's a really important thing to make connections in like a genuine way, not in like a just, you know, how can you help me out way, you know, but in a way where you really get to know the people so that that you're helping each other. And I've really enjoyed just getting to know the other authors in the set. And I've learned a ton about marketing, what works and what doesn't work, and some of my strengths and some of my weaknesses. And so, you know, that was like a really big draw for me. And, you know, these YA ones don't come up quite as often as some other genres do. And so I jumped, you know, when I saw it, I jumped on it right away. And, yeah, it's just been it's been a fun experience. It's been hard at times. It's a lot of work, but I've been really proud of what we've all done. And, you know, I'm proud to be with these group of, you know, the ladies that are here, but all the people that, I think we have one guy actually in the box set. But, you know, everybody else, it's been a really cool experience. And, but my main thing I think was to get to relationship form and build and, to learn more about the industry and you know, and to try to figure out how to give back a little bit more than I'm getting, kind of pay it forward. That's kind of I like to have that attitude as a writer, to figure out ways that I can help other writers. And now that my platform's a little bit bigger, I can kind of do that because so many people kind of came alongside me when I was first starting and helped me out. And you know, our box set has so many different really cool genres in it, that it's like a little bit for everybody. So if you love YA, you know, you can get dystopian, you can get time travel, you can get angels and demons, you can get, I mean, like there's just like all these different types of books that are so cool, and you can get it for so cheap that I don't know if you guys, the other authors here, get this a lot, but I get a lot of times where people are like, oh, I can't, you know, I'm having a hard time affording books, but like this is where you're like, you're gonna get, you know, 23 of them for 99 cents. That's a great deal. And so I like that we're helping readers, you know, get books for people who maybe have a hard time spending money on books. So that's like my answer. And then like whatever I was jabbering about beforehand.
That was an awesome answer. I love that. And it is great to be able to give back to newer authors as well as to being able to give back to the readers. And this is a really cool way to give them that sample. They know they'll love at least one story, and if this author endorses it, then they'll probably like the others as well. So that's very cool. All right, Courtney, would you like to add in?
Okay. Yeah, you know, my biggest reason from the start is just that it seemed like something really fun. Like it's something I hadn't really ever done before, and I wanted to try it. And like I don't remember who said it. The young adult box sets are not as common as some of the others. And so when I saw that it was a young adult, I jumped right on it. I was so excited. But I think my reasons too, just kind of repeating what was already said, just different set of readers. And I just was really excited to have the opportunity to work with other amazing authors, and marketing that I've learned how to do has been phenomenal. Like it has been so helpful. And really, I think we've all connected, like we've all gotten to know each other so much better than we would have if we hadn't done this. And I think that's been the best for me, is just the friends that I've made from being in this box set. Like, I think I freaked Rebecca out at a conference because I saw her teaching a class, and I was like, oh, I'm in the box set with her. And so I went up to her afterwards and I like fangirled her. And anyway, but it was just fun to connect with these awesome people that I never would have probably known otherwise. And I think that's my favorite part of it. So.
And that is a great answer. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I have to say. So I moved to Salt Lake City 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And I was doing really well selling my books on the ground back in South Carolina because there were no other authors doing that. And then I got out here and I'm going to conferences and I'm going to these different events and I'm trying to sell my books. And then I'm seeing other authors and I'm like, oh, I love their books. Oh my gosh. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be an author. I'm not supposed to be fangirling. It's so hard though. All right. Cindy decided to join the box set. You're still muted, sweetie.
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, the question is why you decided to join the box set.
And it was for me. Am I answering?
Well, you can go ahead and go, and then we'll get Cindy after. Sure.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't tell who you were asking. Go ahead, Cindy.
I couldn't tell either.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Cindy.
Cindy,
okay, well,
Cindy, do you want to go
first?
Oh, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I couldn't hear either, so I wasn't sure. There was a little blip in the audio right there. Are you kidding? Young adult books. It's like what I read. It's what I drink. It's what I dream about and live. And I thought, man, I get to be a part with other authors who write young adult books. They have to be the most awesome people in the world. And you know what? It's true. And so a box set with 23 young adult books all together, all different. So, you know, you start reading one type of young adult book and you get tired of it, so you flip over to another kind. You don't even have to do that. Just pick up Shattered Worlds, and that's it. You have all these different genres all within this one book, and so many different styles and amazing things. Young adult books rock, and I'm so excited to see this set be the very first young adult set make it to a USA Today bestseller list. And that is what we're really aiming for. There's never been another that I know of, and if I'm wrong, somebody call me out on it, but there isn't another young adult box set that has made it to USA Today bestseller list, or New York Times for that matter. And why not, you know, swing for the fences, because it's hard online for young adult sales, and to be able to get this at the top of the list, how amazing would that be? And to be a part of that is super fun.
Awesome. And Amy, how about you?
So yeah, Cindy just mentioned one of our goals for this set is to try to make a bestseller list, and I think particularly USA Today would be our first kind of level of goal. And one thing that's been, along with what everyone else has talked about, of getting to know the other authors and getting exposed to a new community of readers and kind of sharing the responsibility together, just seeing the work that goes into the marketing and promotion, how long it takes and how much collective effort that we've made in order to try to reach our goal has been really eye-opening for me. It's not something I've ever tried to do or even really had considered trying to do as an individual author. But it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and it takes, it's going to take a lot of folks who have pre-ordered the book. Thank you so much if you had, and then with our release coming next week, purchasing the book. And I've just really learned a lot about what goes into that and all the effort it takes. And I want to thank all the rest of you all for all the effort you all have put into this set, because I know everybody's worked really, really hard, and I appreciate that effort on my behalf, and hope that we make it next week. I'm excited.
Awesome. And with that, just so everybody knows, I do have down in the description below a link to their Amazon page where you can pre-order it. Again, that's 23 books for 99 cents. I already pre-ordered mine because I'm super excited. I've had several of these wonderful ladies come over on an Angel's Life blog, and they've done character spotlights, and they've done all sorts of fun, so you can check that out over on my website, which I will also add in the comments. And it is, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's been lots of fun. Real quickly, each lady going down the line, let us know, again, your full name, and give us one major link where they can find you, whether that be your website or social media. And we will start with Rebecca.
Okay, it's Rebecca Rode, R-O-D-E, like rode a bike or horse. You can find me at authorrebeccarode.com. And I have, if you click on the books link, you can find Shattered Worlds there and other projects that I'm involved in as well. And you can also email me. If you have questions, please feel free. It's authorrebeccarode@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you anytime.
Awesome. And Julie?
Hi, it's Julie Hall, which is pretty easy. Hall like a hallway, just H-A-L-L. And you can find me all over social media. But if you go to my website, which is juliehallauthor.com, all my links to all the different places you can find me are there. And so that's it. Shortest answer yet. Done.
All right. And Courtney, your turn.
Okay. My name's Courtney Pearson, and you can find me at CourtneyPearson.com. So are two anyway. So email me, and anyway, it's been great. Thank you so much.
All right, and Cindy.
So you can find me at cindymhogan@yahoo.com or cindymhogan.com. Just let's chat. I love Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. So hop on there and say hey, but you can get to me through my website, probably easiest.
All right, and Amy.
So my website is AG as in golf, Henley, Henley .com. And my email is Amy, and I spell it AIMEE @aghenley.com. You can find my books there and the links to all the places in social media that I can be found. There's something flying. So yeah, I'd love to talk with readers and would love to have you visit. And Heidi, thank you so much for having us today.
Absolutely. I was thrilled to have you guys. It's been great to get to know more of the authors over at the Shattered Worlds. And for the viewers, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. And if you're interested in seeing more like this, let me know in the comments down below. I certainly enjoy doing panels, but this is my first time hosting one, and I felt like it went really well. So if you guys are interested in seeing more like this, just let me know in the comments. All right, until next time,